In a quiet neighborhood where the hum of daily life typically blends into the serene backdrop of suburban tranquility, an incident erupted that would soon send shockwaves far beyond its modest boundaries. The events that unfolded on that fateful day began with what seemed like an ordinary moment, but quickly spiraled into an extraordinary and unsettling revelation. It was a late afternoon when the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the streets and filling the air with a gentle warmth. Children played in front yards, their laughter mingling with the occasional bark of a neighborhood dog. The serenity of the scene seemed to promise safety and normalcy. Yet, in the midst of this peaceful setting, an incident occurred that would shatter the sense of security for many. A young black child, whose name we will withhold to respect their privacy, had been enjoying the simple pleasures of childhood when this normalcy was violently disrupted. The child, full of life and innocence, was suddenly thrust into a nightmarish situation that no young person should ever have to face. A woman, whose actions were motivated by deep-seated racial hatred, approached the child in a manner that seemed innocuous at first but would soon reveal its sinister nature. The woman, whose identity has since become a focal point in discussions about racial prejudice and criminal justice, had been known in the community as a figure who kept to herself. Her interactions were limited, her presence often marked by an air of aloofness. Little did anyone know that beneath this seemingly ordinary exterior lurked a malignant intent that would come to light in a manner that would stun everyone on that day. She approached the child with a seemingly benign gesture, a small, unremarkable item intended to appear as a friendly offering. The object in question was, in reality, a small quantity of drugs concealed within what appeared to be an innocuous wrapping. Her motive was as insidious as it was unfathomable. A deliberate attempt to plant the drugs on the child and manipulate the situation in a way that could have far-reaching consequences. As the child accepted the item, completely unaware of its true nature, the gravity of the situation began to unfold. What might have seemed like a mere act of kindness or indifference was, in reality, a calculated maneuver meant to inflict harm and sow discord. The woman's actions were driven by an abhorrent blend of racial prejudice and a desire to exploit the situation for her own malicious ends. The moment the child's guardians became aware of the situation, the initial shock was palpable. The child's bewilderment and confusion were evident as the adults around them grappled with the reality of what had just occurred. The discovery of the drugs, hidden in a place where they should never have been, led to immediate panic and disbelief. The child's safety and well-being were suddenly thrust into the spotlight, and the community was left to grapple with the implications of what had transpired. This was not merely an isolated incident, but a reflection of a broader, deeply troubling issue. The community, while initially reeling from the shock, was soon faced with the stark reality of racism and its capacity to manifest in the most unexpected and horrifying ways. The incident became a catalyst for conversations about prejudice, justice, and the responsibility of individuals and institutions to combat racism in all its forms. The ensuing days saw a flurry of activity as local authorities were alerted, investigations were launched, and the community began to rally around the affected child and their family. The shock of the event was compounded by the realization of its implications, an act of racial hatred that sought to undermine the very fabric of trust and safety within the community. In the midst of this turmoil, the focus was squarely on the child's well-being. Support networks and community organizations quickly mobilized to provide assistance and ensure that the child received the care and protection they needed. The outpouring of support from neighbors, friends, and strangers alike underscored the collective commitment to addressing the immediate needs of the child and countering the harmful effects of the woman's actions. As the investigation progressed, the community watched with bated breath. The details of the woman's actions, the motivations behind them, and the responses from local authorities became subjects of intense scrutiny. The case highlighted not only the personal impact on the child and their family, but also the broader societal issues that such incidents bring to light. The initial moment of realization, when the child's guardians understood what had occurred, marked the beginning of a complex and challenging journey. The narrative of this incident was not just about the immediate shock and outrage, but also about the ongoing struggle to address the underlying issues of racism and injustice. The incident became a focal point for discussions on how communities can come together to support victims and combat the pervasive threat of racial prejudice. In essence, What began as a seemingly ordinary day in a quiet neighborhood was transformed into a dramatic and distressing episode that tested the resilience of the community. The woman's actions, driven by hate and malice, revealed the depths of racial intolerance and sparked a broader conversation about how to confront and overcome such deep-seated issues. This was just the beginning of a much larger narrative, one that would unfold with profound implications for all involved. As the community navigated the aftermath of the incident, it was clear that the road ahead would be marked by both challenges and opportunities for growth and healing. The quiet rhythm of suburban life can be deceptive. Behind the neatly trimmed lawns and the cheerful greetings exchanged over fences, darker currents can sometimes flow unnoticed. One such current surfaced in a way that would disrupt the lives of many, revealing unsettling truths about the woman at the center of it all. This is the story of her background and the racial prejudices that fueled her heinous actions. Our story begins in the shadowy corners of a small town where everyone knows everyone and secrets are hard to keep. The woman in question, let's call her Susan, had lived in this community for years. On the surface, Susan appeared to be an unremarkable resident, a woman who kept to herself, engaged in minimal social activities, and maintained a low profile. To most, she was just another face in the crowd, someone who didn't stand out and whose life seemed mundane. Susan's history, however, was far from ordinary. Her upbringing had been marred by a series of personal and societal influences that shaped her beliefs and attitudes. Growing up in a family with deeply ingrained prejudices, Susan was exposed to a form of racial ideology that was both overt and subtle. Her parents, who had lived through times of racial tension and conflict, carried with them a legacy of intolerance that was passed down to their children. This environment fostered an atmosphere where racist views were not only accepted but normalized. From a young age, Susan was taught to see the world through a lens of division and animosity. Her community, echoing the prejudices of her family, further reinforced these beliefs. In schools, workplaces, and social settings, she was repeatedly exposed to stereotypes and discriminatory attitudes that shaped her worldview. These experiences embedded themselves deeply in her psyche, fostering a sense of superiority and an irrational fear of those who were different from her. As Susan grew older, her prejudices did not wane. Instead, they became more entrenched. While she managed to present a facade of civility in public, behind closed doors, her true beliefs were often expressed with alarming intensity. Her home, marked by the remnants of racial propaganda and hateful rhetoric, became a safe haven for her discriminatory views. Her interactions with others were often laced with condescension and bias, but these were usually subtle enough to avoid raising suspicion. Susan's involvement in various community groups provided further insight into her beliefs. Under the guise of civic engagement, she participated in local meetings and volunteer activities. Yet, these were often vehicles for her to subtly spread her prejudiced views. Her participation was marked by passive-aggressive comments and a refusal to engage with people from different backgrounds, demonstrating her reluctance to embrace diversity. Despite her outwardly benign demeanor, Susan's beliefs were far from harmless. They culminated in a series of actions that reflected a disturbing sense of entitlement and superiority. Her behavior was not merely a collection of isolated incidents, but rather a pattern of thought and action deeply rooted in her worldview. This pattern, which seemed to be hidden from public view, revealed itself in the most shocking way when she targeted a vulnerable child. The idea of targeting a child with such malicious intent was a manifestation of Susan's extreme views and deep-seated hatred. Her decision to use drugs as a means to harm the child was not just a random act of cruelty, but a calculated attempt to exploit and manipulate a situation to her advantage. The drugs were intended to frame the child, a cruel tactic meant to create chaos and further her own prejudiced agenda. This particular act of malice was a shocking escalation of her beliefs. The calculated nature of her actions, choosing a child, a symbol of innocence and vulnerability, revealed the depth of her hatred. It was not just about the immediate harm, but also about making a statement, a twisted assertion of her beliefs and a demonstration of her willingness to inflict suffering to achieve her aims. In the days leading up to the incident, Susan's behavior had become increasingly erratic. Those close to her noticed subtle signs of agitation and a growing obsession with notions of racial superiority. It was as if she was preparing for something drastic, something that would make a statement and validate her distorted worldview. Her actions seemed to be a culmination of years of internalized hate and a desperate need to assert her beliefs in a tangible way. The community, initially shocked by the incident, began to piece together the background of the woman who had caused such harm. As details emerged, it became clear that Susan's actions were not isolated, but were part of a broader pattern of racial animus. Her life, marked by a series of prejudiced actions and statements, painted a disturbing picture of how deeply ingrained biases can manifest in destructive ways. Susan's story is a cautionary tale about the impact of prejudice and the ways in which it can fester and grow. Her background, marked by intolerance and hate, provided the foundation for her later actions. It serves as a reminder of the importance of confronting and addressing racial biases before they escalate into acts of violence and cruelty. The investigation into Susan's actions revealed more than just a criminal act. It uncovered a deep-seated issue that went beyond one individual's actions. It highlighted the systemic nature of racism and the ways in which personal prejudices can have far-reaching consequences. Susan's background and actions became a focal point for discussions about how to address and prevent such behaviors, emphasizing the need for vigilance and proactive measures to combat hate and intolerance. As the community grappled with the implications of Susan's actions, there was a collective effort to understand the factors that led to such an extreme act. Her background, her family influences, and her personal experiences all contributed to a broader narrative about the impact of racism and the need for comprehensive solutions to address it in the end. Susan's story is not just about one woman's actions, but about the broader societal issues that they represent. It underscores the need for ongoing dialogue and action to confront prejudice and promote understanding. Her background serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of allowing hate to fester and the importance of addressing these issues head-on to prevent future tragedies. This exploration of Susan's background provides a deeper understanding of the motivations behind her actions and the broader implications of her beliefs. It is a critical part of the narrative that reveals the complexities of racial prejudice and the urgent need for change in the face of such disturbing behaviors. In the tapestry of everyday life, where routines and rhythms often mask the undercurrents of deeper issues, an event can occur that rips through the veil of normalcy with shocking clarity. Such was the case on that fateful afternoon when an otherwise ordinary day in a quiet neighborhood was abruptly turned upside down by an act of profound malevolence. The details of this incident, though deeply unsettling, reveal a chilling narrative of calculated cruelty and desperate deceit. It was a balmy afternoon, the kind that lulls the senses into a comfortable stupor, making the evening seem like a distant promise. The neighborhood was alive with the sounds of summer, children's laughter, the rhythmic thud of basketballs, and the occasional burst of music from open windows. Amidst this familiar backdrop, a young black child played innocently in the front yard, blissfully unaware of the dark turn that was about to unfold. Susan, the woman whose presence had always been marked by a veneer of detachment, had been meticulously plotting her move. Her actions, driven by a toxic blend of racial hatred and a desire to create chaos, were about to come to fruition. On that day, Susan's plan was set into motion with a precision that spoke volumes about her premeditation and intent. Approaching the child with an air of casual nonchalance, Susan had crafted a deceptive ruse. She carried with her a small, inconspicuous package, an item designed to appear harmless and even appealing to a young, trusting mind. To the casual observer, this package might have seemed like a benign gift, perhaps a treat or a trinket, but its contents were anything but innocent. As the child approached, Susan greeted them with a seemingly friendly demeanor. Her smile was a facade, concealing the dark purpose behind her actions. With a disarming ease, she presented the package to the child, who accepted it with the wide-eyed curiosity typical of youth. The child's joy at receiving what seemed like a gift was palpable, and it was this very innocence that Susan sought to exploit. The package, however, contained something far more sinister than a simple treat. Inside was a quantity of illegal drugs, meticulously concealed to avoid detection. The drugs were not only illegal but dangerous, substances that could have serious repercussions for anyone who came into contact with them. Susan's plan was clear. By placing these drugs in the child's possession, she hoped to frame them for a crime they had not committed, using their innocence as a weapon against them. The critical moment of discovery came when the child's guardians, alerted by a series of unsettling events, began to investigate. It started with a seemingly innocuous question about the package. The child, still clutching the gift, was questioned about where it had come from. The child, innocent and eager to please, relayed the encounter with Susan in a manner that initially seemed harmless. However, the discovery of the drugs marked the beginning of a shocking chain of events. The package, once opened, revealed its contents in a way that left everyone involved reeling. The drugs were immediately identifiable, their presence starkly contrasting with the appearance of the package. The sudden shift from a friendly interaction to a criminal revelation was jarring, and the gravity of the situation quickly became apparent. The initial reaction was one of disbelief and confusion. The child's guardians, struggling to process the turn of events, quickly realized the severity of the situation. The immediate concern was for the child's safety, ensuring that they had not been exposed to the drugs and that they were protected from any potential harm. The next step was to alert the authorities, a process that unfolded with a mixture of urgency and anxiety. As the police arrived on the scene was one of heightened tension and distress. Officers were briefed on the situation, and the gravity of the incident was laid bare. The discovery of the drugs and the context in which they were found created a sense of urgency. The authorities moved swiftly, taking statements from witnesses and gathering evidence to piece together the full scope of the incident. The investigation revealed the meticulous nature of Susan's plan. Her choice of drugs, the manner in which they were concealed, and the specific targeting of the child all spoke to a premeditated strategy. It became clear that this was not a random act of malice, but a calculated attempt to inflict harm and create chaos. The details of her actions, choosing a child, executing the plan with deceptive ease, highlighted the disturbing lengths to which she was willing to go. The child's reaction to the discovery was one of confusion and distress. The trauma of being targeted in such a manner was compounded by the realization of the danger they had narrowly avoided. The child's innocence, once a source of joy, had become the focal point of a malevolent plot. The emotional impact on the child and their family was profound, underscoring the personal toll of Susan's actions. As the investigation progressed, the community was left to grapple with the ramifications of the incident. Neighbors and local residents, initially shocked and dismayed, began to rally around the affected family. The sense of betrayal and anger was palpable, as the community struggled to come to terms with the idea that such a heinous act could occur in their midst. The police work that followed was thorough and detailed. Investigators meticulously examined every aspect of the incident, from the discovery of the drugs to the interactions between Susan and the child. Evidence was gathered, and witnesses were interviewed, each piece contributing to the broader narrative of what had transpired. The investigation aimed not only to hold Susan accountable, but also to uncover any further implications of her actions. Throughout this period, the media began to cover the story, adding another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. News reports brought the details of the incident into the public eye, prompting widespread outrage and concern. The media coverage highlighted the disturbing nature of Susan's actions and the broader issues of racism and prejudice that her behavior exposed. The revelation of the drugs and the specifics of how they were discovered became central to the narrative. The community's response, the impact on the child and their family, and the subsequent legal and social ramifications were all part of a larger story that unfolded in real time. The details of the incident, while deeply troubling, were crucial in understanding the full extent of Susan's actions and the impact on those affected. In summary, the details of the incident revealed a chilling and calculated act of malice. Susan's plan, marked by deception and cruelty, exposed the vulnerability of a child and the lengths to which she was willing to go to achieve her aims. The unfolding of these details, discovery of the drugs, the immediate reaction, and the ensuing investigation, painted a vivid and unsettling picture of the event, capturing the gravity of the situation and the profound impact on all involved. In the aftermath of a shocking incident, where the strands of justice and social reaction intertwine, the repercussions extend far beyond the immediate drama. When Susan's heinous act of planting drugs on a young child was unveiled, it set in motion a series of legal and social consequences that reverberated through the community and beyond. This was not just a case of individual wrongdoing, but a significant event that illuminated the complex interplay between law, justice, and social responsibility. The legal response to Susan's actions began with a swift and intense investigation. The authorities, grappling with the gravity of the situation, launched a comprehensive probe to hold her accountable for her despicable actions. As the details of her plan unfolded, the legal system faced the daunting task of addressing not only the immediate criminal charges, but also the broader implications of her actions. Susan was charged with multiple offenses, including drug possession and distribution, child endangerment, and hate crimes. Each charge reflected a different aspect of her actions: the illegal nature of the drugs, the danger posed to the child, and the racial motivations behind her actions. The legal system aimed to address the full scope of her crimes, ensuring that each facet was accounted for in the judicial process. The courtroom became a battleground where the complexities of the case were laid bare. Prosecutors meticulously presented evidence, including the drugs, witness testimonies, and Susan's own background, to build a compelling case against her. The legal proceedings were marked by intense scrutiny, as the community and the media followed each development closely. Susan's defense, while working to mitigate the charges, faced significant challenges. The gravity of her actions and the evidence presented created a formidable case for the prosecution. Her legal team struggled to counteract the overwhelming evidence of premeditated malice and racial animus. The courtroom drama unfolded with high stakes, reflecting the broader implications of the case for both the individual and the community. The trial attracted considerable media attention, amplifying the public's awareness and engagement with the case. News outlets provided extensive coverage, detailing each stage of the proceedings and offering insights into the legal arguments and evidence. This media spotlight not only heightened public interest but also intensified the scrutiny on Susan's actions and the broader issues they represented. The social consequences of Susan's actions extended far beyond the legal arena. The community, once a bastion of suburban tranquility, found itself grappling with a profound sense of betrayal and outrage. The incident exposed underlying racial tensions and highlighted the urgent need for dialogue and action to address such issues. In the wake of the incident, local organizations and advocacy groups rallied to support the affected child and their family. Fundraisers, support networks, and public statements of solidarity emerged as part of a broader effort to provide assistance and healing. The community's response was marked by a collective determination to stand against the racism and hatred that had led to the incident. Educational initiatives and public forums became key components of the response. Schools, community centers, and local organizations organized events to promote understanding and dialogue about racism, prejudice, and justice. These efforts aimed to foster a sense of unity and to address the broader societal issues highlighted by the incident. The legal consequences for Susan, while crucial, were part of a larger narrative about the impact of her actions. The trial and sentencing process, though necessary for justice, represented only one aspect of the broader response. The community's efforts to address the underlying issues and to support those affected were integral to the overall impact of the case. In addition to the immediate legal and social responses, the incident prompted broader discussions about systemic racism and the need for comprehensive reforms. The case became a focal point for debates about how to address racial prejudice, both at an individual level and within institutions. It underscored the need for ongoing vigilance and proactive measures to combat racism and to ensure justice for those affected. The legal and social consequences of Susan's actions were a testament to the complexity of addressing such profound issues. The interplay between the judicial process, community response, and societal reflection highlighted the multifaceted nature of the incident and the broader implications for justice and equality. The ripple effect of Susan's actions extended through the legal system, the community, and beyond, shaping conversations and responses in ways that underscored the depth of the challenges faced. As the case continued to unfold, the community remained engaged and proactive. The support for the affected child and their family continued, and the dialogue about racism and justice persisted. The legal and social consequences of the incident were not just about addressing a specific act of malice, but about grappling with the broader implications for society. The case served as a powerful reminder of the importance of confronting and addressing racism in all its forms. The legal proceedings and social response highlighted the need for collective action and ongoing efforts to promote understanding and justice. Susan's actions, while reprehensible, became a catalyst for broader conversations about the need for change and the ways in which communities can come together to address and overcome prejudice. In summary, the legal and social consequences of Susan's actions revealed the depth of the impact on both the individual and the community. The courtroom drama, media coverage, and community response all played a role in shaping the narrative and addressing the broader issues raised by the incident. The ripple effect of Susan's actions extended through the legal system, the community, and beyond, highlighting the need for ongoing dialogue and action to confront and address the challenges of racism and prejudice. In the aftermath of an event as shocking and disheartening as Susan's attempt to frame an innocent child with drugs, the initial tumult gives way to a period of reflection and analysis. The ramifications of such an act extend beyond the immediate legal proceedings and social reactions, urging us to confront the deeper questions about justice, racism, and the fabric of our communities. As the dust settles and the community begins to heal, it is crucial to reflect on the broader implications of the incident and the lessons learned. The unveiling of systemic issues. Susan's act of malice, though deeply personal and reprehensible, highlighted systemic issues that are far more pervasive. The decision to target a young child, an innocent, vulnerable member of the community, revealed a profound and troubling undercurrent of racial hatred. This wasn't just about an individual's actions, but about a reflection of deeper societal issues that need addressing. The fact that Susan felt empowered to execute such a cruel plan underscores a disturbing acceptance of racial prejudice and a lack of accountability for discriminatory actions. Her background and motivations, coupled with the severity of her crime, force us to confront uncomfortable truths about how racism operates not just in isolated incidents, but as part of a broader, systemic problem. Community resilience and unity. In the wake of the incident, the community's response was marked by an outpouring of support and solidarity. Neighbors, local organizations, and advocacy groups came together to provide assistance to the affected child and their family. Fundraisers, public statements, and community gatherings became focal points of a collective effort to heal and to counteract the harm caused by Susan's actions. This response demonstrated the power of community resilience and the importance of standing united in the face of adversity. The solidarity shown by the community was a testament to the strength and compassion of its members. It also highlighted how crises can serve as catalysts for positive change, bringing people together to address issues of injustice and inequality. Educational and social dialogues. The incident prompted an array of educational and social initiatives aimed at fostering understanding and dialogue about racism and prejudice. Schools and community organizations hosted forums, workshops, and discussions to address the underlying issues exposed by Susan's actions. These efforts sought not only to educate but also to encourage proactive measures to combat racism and promote inclusivity. Such dialogues are crucial in addressing the root causes of prejudice and fostering a culture of empathy and respect. By engaging in open conversations about race and discrimination, communities can work towards breaking down barriers and building a more equitable society. The incident served as a reminder of the need for ongoing education and dialogue to challenge and dismantle systemic racism. Reforming systems and policies. The broader implications of the incident extended to discussions about systemic reform. The case highlighted the need for comprehensive policies and practices to address racism and ensure justice. It prompted a reassessment of how institutions handle cases of racial prejudice and how they can better support affected individuals. Calls for reform included reviewing and enhancing training for law enforcement and community organizations to better address and prevent racial discrimination. The incident underscored the importance of creating systems that are not only reactive but also proactive in promoting equity and justice. Individual and collective responsibility. One of the most significant reflections stemming from the incident is the notion of individual and collective responsibility. Susan's actions were a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked hatred and intolerance. It is a call to each individual to examine their own beliefs and biases, and to take responsibility for promoting a more just and inclusive society. Collectively, communities must engage in continuous efforts to challenge racism and support those affected by discrimination. This involves not only addressing individual acts of prejudice, but also working towards systemic change that addresses the root causes of inequality. The path forward as the community and individuals involved move forward. There is an opportunity to reflect on the lessons learned from the incident and to strive for meaningful change. The aftermath of such a tragic event is often marked by a mixture of grief, anger, and resolve. It is in this emotional landscape that the potential for growth and transformation lies. The path forward involves a commitment to addressing the broader issues highlighted by the incident and to fostering a culture of empathy and justice. It requires ongoing efforts to educate, to reform, and to support those affected by racism and discrimination. The incident serves as both a warning and a call to action, an urgent reminder of the need for vigilance and proactive engagement in the fight against prejudice. The legacy of the incident in the end, the legacy of Susan's actions will be shaped by how the community and individuals respond to the challenges posed by the incident. It is an opportunity to turn a deeply painful experience into a force for positive change. By reflecting on the broader implications and committing to addressing the underlying issues, there is potential for a renewed focus on justice, equity, and community solidarity. The incident has left an indelible mark on those involved and on the community at large. It is a reminder of the importance of confronting hatred and working towards a more inclusive society. As the community continues to heal and grow, the lessons learned will hopefully contribute to a future where such acts of malice are not only addressed with justice but prevented through collective effort and understanding. In conclusion, Susan's act of cruelty and the subsequent legal and social consequences offer a profound opportunity for reflection and growth. The broader implications of the incident underscore the need for ongoing dialogue, systemic reform, and individual responsibility. As the community navigates the aftermath, the focus must be on using the experience as a catalyst for positive change, ensuring that the legacy of the incident is one of resilience, unity, and progress towards a more equitable and just society.